The video we will be looking at today is the perfect example of poorly structured out content. The video could have easily been 8 minutes long, but instead, they decided to stretch it out to high heaven to 18 minutes long by showing them editing audio, and it's incredibly embarrassing because they spend so long editing random noises to try and make them sound like the Halo Infinite gun sounds, but they fail miserably. Now the funniest part about this is that they complain normal guns in Halo Infinite sound realistic, and no, I'm not joking. Apparently it's bad for non-futuristic weapons to sound realistic. So without further delay, I'll let the video play.
Hello, my name's Revenge, and today I'm going to be discussing why Halo Infinite's sound design is terrible. Now, before you crucify my like to dislike ratio, hear me out.
Whoops, my finger miraculously slipped. It's always a great sign to see YouTubers essentially admit they know their take is dog shit by begging not to be disliked.
I am a sound designer with 7+ years of experience.
Shut the fuck up, no one cares. Know your fucking place, trash.
And you still managed to have such a shitty take on the sound design? I mean, goddamn, this is just making the L even bigger. Straight after this, he plays a bunch of sounds he's made for certain projects, and frankly, they're as low quality and as generic as they come, and it would be a total waste of time for me to play them, so I'm going to skip over it.
With the introduction out of the way,
if I hadn't cut that pointless shit out, then this video would have been about 2 minutes and 20 seconds longer, and this is what I was on about when talking about how he didn't structure his video well at all, and it's to the point where I had to basically edit his video for him later on, and you'll see this be a continuous trend for the video.
Please continue to watch this video and keep this portfolio in mind. While Halo Infinite's gameplay is really fun, fast-paced, and a good return to form, the sound design is just so bland and anemic. Here's a little showcase of the sounds I was privileged to hear when playing the flight.
Oh my god, a gun that isn't meant to be futuristic and uses bullet sounds like a real gun and not something from science fiction sounds exactly like it's meant to? How truly horrific. It sounds like a pistol. What else do you want it to fucking sound like? A plasma pistol? Like, my god, this has to be some of the most pathetic nitpicking I've ever seen. The only people who top this are fanboys and XGLX.
Not only are these sounds just very bland and uninteresting, they lack identity.
Anyone, and I mean anyone, who was watching those clips without the video could very easily tell they were different guns. And if you didn't know, 343 got the sounds for each gun from real guns. It's not their fault that most guns sound similar to each other, and complaining that normal guns don't sound unrealistic is some of the strangest criticism I've seen in a long time. Saying those gun sounds lack identity is flat out ignorant. You can very easily distinguish each gun from each other.
The SideKick's firing sound is so bland that I could probably use the M1911 airsoft pistol I have right here to remake it.
In short, this is where he miserably fails to recreate the sound and completely embarrasses himself. Annoyingly, the guy doesn't bother speeding up or cutting him out editing the sounds, and leaves all of that entirely unnecessary crap in the video, so my ass actually has to put effort into a video for once because I'm having to edit his video for him. And unsurprisingly, I'm not too happy about it. Not only does that sound incredibly horrific and nothing like the actual sound, the guy doesn't even play the two sounds side by side, so his viewers can't properly compare them. So here's another thing that I'm going to have to do for him, since he's apparently incapable of properly editing his own goddamn video. It's missing so much extra detail which is crucial to gun sounds, and even if we remove that from the equation, his makeshift audio doesn't even sound close, and he's only proved how detailed 343's sound design is for the pistol. I mean, he's literally defeated the whole point of his video by doing this, and this is more than likely why he didn't include a side-by-side comparison for any of the official gun sounds and his makeshift gun sounds.
And since we're having fun with this sound design,
I wouldn't call having to edit your video for you fun, but sure, go off queen.
why don't we try recreating the Bulldog?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Which sounds like someone slamming my desk.
You know, I'm honestly impressed at how much better I am at editing this guy's video than him, and once again he fails to compare the sounds side by side because once again, it sounds nothing like the gun, which I don't think anyone is surprised by, so I'll have to make the side by side myself. You can obviously see why he didn't bother to edit a comparison, and it's more than likely because it would have shown how utterly pathetic this video was. The fact I had to edit his video for him and make the side-by-side comparisons myself is laughable to begin with, but the fact he's obviously not done side-by-side comparisons to not show how shitty his audio is and how it sounds nothing like the Halo Infinite gun sounds is at best incredibly lazy and frankly pretty fucking funny. The fact he's tried to paint the sound effects as bad this much, it's impressively depressing how much he's failed to do so.
And you're fucking telling me they needed millions of dollars to make this?
The fact he's such a condescending asshole throughout this video as well makes me take back what I said about it being depressing. It's fucking hilarious. Like, Jesus Christ, get off your fucking high horse and come back to reality already.
343, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. You're getting ripped the fuck off. And don't even get me started on the reloads. They are so offensively quiet and anemic and lacking of chunk.
Is he somehow unaware that all of the sounds used for the guns in the game, apart from ones like the plasma rifle and plasma pistols, were recordings of actual fucking guns in real life? He's literally complaining that the guns sound like real guns. You can't make this shit up.
That it causes my autism to flare up like it's a bad rash. One of the most offensive examples is the fucking VK78. I've heard lighter lid flicks that were stronger than the charging handle of this gun.
It's downright hilarious how hard he's going into their sound design while seemingly not realizing they use real guns to get those sounds.
And because my autism wouldn't let me sleep until I fixed this, here's my fix.
Holy shit, that sounds like something I'd hear in a game from the 1990s. That shit sounded awful. Like, how the fuck do you think that was better? I wouldn't even expect that from the thousands of asset stealing indie games on Steam. If that was what I was hearing in a AAA game from 343, I would want to be compensated with complimentary therapy sessions paid for by them. Shit doesn't even remotely sound like it belongs to that gun.
The sounds I used for this reload is the FAL because in my opinion, that is the closest IRL comparison that I could find.
And even still, it sounds awful. In no way, shape or form should that ever be used in a game unless the game has specifically got that gun in it. Please do not try to criticize 343 if this is your solution, aka making the gun sound like it's being held together by pieces of paper at a garage sale, my guy. 343 sound design for that gun is objectively superior to whatever the fuck kind of low quality audio you just played in every single way.
But Rev, 343 Industries is going for a realistic approach. So of course the sounds are going to be a bit more bland and uninteresting and unchunky. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
Yeah, because the gun sounds were collected from actual guns being shot. And I mean, if whatever you call better is the fuck you just played, then I don't think you should even be remotely commenting on this at all. For someone with a supposed 7 years in the industry, you have terrible taste in audio design. 343 more than likely tested hundreds if not thousands of gun sounds for each weapon, and found the one that fits it best. What you've done is gone and found extremely low quality audio clips and shoved them onto guns. They frankly do not sound as if they belong on. I can perfectly assure you that even though your ego is clearly out of this world, the sound designers at 343 are far more knowledgeable than you, hence why they work there and you don't.
Think carefully before you answer. Here is a live fire recording of a Zip 22, an undersling pistol that was so bad that it killed an entire company.
That sounds fucking awful. Like, bro, I don't even know how it's possible to show how good the sound design is in Halo Infinite whilst attempting to show it as something horrifically bad. It's genuinely impressive how much you've consistently fallen flat on your face in this video. Just imagine if 343 were to use sounds like that in the game. They'd be bloody crucified, and I can guarantee you that he'd be one of the people crucifying them.
Not exactly bland sounding, is it?
To be fair, it's not exactly anything incredible unless we're talking about how much it makes me want to end it all. It sounds like your generic charged futuristic weapon in games. Absolutely nothing unbland or special in the slightest. It would make no sense from a basic design standpoint.
It's got the boom, it's got the crunch, it's got that snap, it's got dimensions to it.
I don't even know how it's possible for him to like that sound. Like, bro, really? The only dimensions I can visualize after hearing that is the extra surface area created when I blow my head off, after North Korea forces me to listen to it on repeat.
It's not some generic thud.
It quite literally sounds like the most generic futuristic charged weapon sound effect in every game with futuristic weapons. In no way, shape or form is that better than what 343 is using. In fact, it's a billion times worse.
Contrary to popular opinion, gunfire is a very multi-layered sound. There's the boom. This is primarily the body of your gunfire. This provides most of the bass and impact that the gun sound provides,
which both of the audio creations you made earlier lacked entirely. If you're trying to prove 343 could have used better sounds and so on, you are beyond miserably failing. You're calling their sounds generic, which most gun sounds do, because they usually sound similar to each other whilst playing some of the most basic and generic sounds yourself. All you have been doing is telling them to replace what you consider trash with more trash.
Then there's the crackle or snap. This is the echo of the gun. This gives the gun a little more dimension by putting in some high-end hissing or reverberation into the gun. It's almost like a tail to a snare.
Did you even listen to the gun sounds from Halo Infinite? You can audibly hear the echoes in them, and you're trying to argue that this sounds like depth, even though those echoes in your own words are a major player in making gun sounds have more depth. This video is nothing but pure pathetic nitpicking.
And the final element can be an either-or sort of thing. It can either be a crunch or a ping.
Or ping.
It's almost like the sounds do have those things.
The crunch can either be a sub-bass to the boom or an enhancement to the tail. A prime example of this being used would be the Halo 4 shotgun. Here's a listen.
Just use your ears and you can hear that hiss in Halo Infinite shotgun. The only major difference which is making these sounds sound slightly different is the fact that the older Halo games have audio files of lower quality. I can definitely audibly hear that, but I find it interesting how he won't do side-by-sides of any of these sounds to each other, because if he did that it would very clearly point out how much pathetic nitpicking he's spewing out.
And then there's the ping, which is primarily used as an enhancement to like the initial hit of a firing sound. A good example of this would be the Halo 2 battle rifle. Here's a listen to that.
Even with the clip of the battle rifle he uses in this video, which doesn't hit anything, you can still hear what he's describing in it. And I find it amazing that he hasn't realized this. And again, the only major difference is that Halo 2's audio will more than likely be of much lower quality than Halo Infinite's.
And yet, still, with all of this available to them, they decided that this was going to be the future of Halo sound design. This was worth spending millions of dollars, dragging a bunch of people out into a firing range, and then recording all these different gun sounds for this. And you're probably asking yourself, Rev, why are you getting so salty about a bunch of sounds? It's simple, really. Because I have standards when it comes to the sound design in my entertainment.
Jesus Christ, you seriously need to get off this insane high horse of yours. The strange virtue signaling he's doing about his standards is so incredibly cringy, and the fact this guy knows that the gun sounds were collected from real fucking guns and is still crying about them is incredible. It's as if he wants the normal guns to sound like the plasma rifle or some shit like that.
And what infuriates me even more is their refusal to use any of the classic sounds.
Are you serious?
It's almost like they'd sound completely out of place in Halo Infinite, and it's almost like they're outdated by today's standard. Sure, they were good in their day, but honestly, they're nothing special anymore.
Halo went out of its way to establish a soundscape that people could actually recognize. A soundscape that was consistent until 343 Industries took over. The weapons went from being distinct to changing every game and sounding even more generic until now, where they're just completely indistinguishable from each other.
If you can't distinguish between those guns, I hate to break it to you, but that isn't an issue with the game, but your hearing. They are incredibly easy to distinguish from each other.
And 343 is really stubborn and willing to die on this hill for sound design for some stupid reason.
Because most people don't hate Halo Infinite sound design, and you're in a very, very, very small minority of players who do get genuinely triggered by it, which is low-key sad. Now for the rest of the video, he mainly goes on a strange tangent about how 343 would ruin Star Wars and the Alien franchise if they got control of them, and I'm not even going to justify that with a response because it's so insanely moronic. Also later on, the guy genuinely uses those videos of 343 getting sounds for their guns, but tries to use it to show them as disingenuous and tries to use it to prove how bland the gun sounds are, which is baffling to me because the sounds in those videos are very similar to the ones being used. So with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord server, follow me on Twitter, as well as like, comment and subscribe. So I'll see you in the next video.